I'm M. Carter Pierce, and you're watching The Daily Reel. Last night was an interesting night for Donald Trump. He received the bill from the House and the Senate, which overwhelmingly required the Epstein files to be released. He reported on Truth Social last night that he did do it. But here's the thing with Donald Trump. When he says he's going to do something, there's some kind of a string attached of some sort. Whether it's good for us or bad for us, there's a string in there. There's a string attached, a pretty long one. And the question remains whether we're going to see the truth of the matter. Are the names of every single one of these pedophiles going to be released? Is the accurate account of what took place on Epstein Island going to be revealed? Or is it going to be a Donald Trump production, The Apprentice 6.0, that we're going to get? And that's to say, we'll ever get it. Yes, while Donald Trump was wining and dining with a murderer and a terrorist in the form of MBS, after he called himself chastising a reporter in the Oval Office during a press conference with said MBS, and an utterly childish lashing out because he knew the jig was up, it was an interesting day for Donald Trump. Meanwhile, hell hasn't frozen over yet. We're still looking at a lot of crap from this administration. Look at the things that are going on right now. So, Lindsay Halligan admitted in court that she lied. It was a grenade to her own case. It is more than clear that the indictments against James Comey and Letitia James are going to go bye-bye, and possibly John Bolton too, because Donald Trump used an inexperienced person instead of a veteran professional to seek an indictment against his political enemies in federal court. A woman who never prosecuted a case, let alone appeared in federal court. You know, the Justice Department was renowned. They had a 99% conviction rate because they were smart enough to say to themselves, can we win this? And because you had veteran federal prosecutors, experienced trial attorneys in federal courts that knew the procedure, that knew the paperwork, that knew how to produce a proper indictment. Well, that didn't take place. Instead, Donald Trump is doing quid pro quos with his personal attorneys and getting them into the federal government where they have no business. But then it's the same thing with his cabinet. Donald Trump's dinner last night was a who's who of his cabinet, but also the inexperienced and those who are not worth being leaders in the federal government. You had Elon Musk, you had Stephen Miller, you had J.D. Vance. It was a cartoon show of the bizarre kind, a grotesque misrepresentation of the United States. And the theatrical appearance of Donald Trump and MBS almost holding hands and skipping together coming out to a musical interlude was absolute and thorough theater of the mentally ill. But wait, there's more, because hell hasn't frozen over yet. Today, there's a pivotal case in the Abrego Garcia case Kilmar Abrego Garcia was one of the 240 men that were thrown onto a plane and shipped to El Salvador to CICOT, a notoriously violent prison in El Salvador, under the watchful eye of President Bukele. He said he couldn't bring him back. A judge ordered him to bring him back. He swore it was up to Bukele to bring him back. Bukele came here and said he wasn't going to send him back. But guess what? He's back in the U.S. And now we're going to find out if he's going to be released and go home without any further threat, because it's clear in this case that there's vindictive prosecution. Not to mention yesterday, when the Department of Justice and Pam Bondi tried to attack Judge James Boasberg, or as some people know him, Jeb Boasberg, because he wanted to bring contempt because Donald Trump and Pam Bondi would not follow a court order that he wrote to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia back. They retaliated and tried to report him to the federal judiciary, who affirmed Jeb Boasberg's position. Another slap in the face. But let me be clear. It's not just about Jeb Boasberg. It's not just the fact that MBS was at a formal dinner last night with Trump and the gang. It's not just the fact that he demolished the East Wing. It's not just the fact that he tried to get his way by making kids starve earlier this month. It's not just those facts. It's not just his political vendetta. It's not just his desperation and conspiracy to hide the truth that he's a pedophile. Let's look at how we are looked at overseas. Every rogue and despot leader knows now that if you want something from Trump, just give him something shiny and gold, and compliment him until he grins. And they'll get what they want. MBS is getting F-35s from us, our most highly advanced, technology-advanced warplane. Are you going to really tell me that's not a national security issue? Are you really going to tell me that? Because I have trouble believing that. Our allies don't trust us anymore. Our trading partners are angry. We're putting tariffs unilaterally all over the world, and it's illegal because it rests in the Congress. And above that, even the Supreme Court said that tariffs are taxes and we're paying them. Donald Trump wants to buy us off with a $2,000 check. Let's be clear. That $2,000 is what you paid, not what other countries gave us for free. Not the tariffs that they paid and we're getting free money. We're getting back some of the money that we paid in tariffs. You bought shoes that came from China? They were tariffed. The price of the tariff was built into the price of the shoes. You paid it. You bought a Nissan, a Toyota, a Honda with parts from Japan? Japan didn't pay the tariff. They built it into the price of the car. They knew what the tariff was going to be. They did the math. And they raised the price of the car. And when you went and bought it and financed it, you paid the tariff. Let's be clear on these things. Because hell hasn't frozen over yet. We're still in it. And it's burning. And God knows what's coming in December. But one thing that we do know, the CR that just passed, that is going to raise your ACA, that's going to take away your ACA subsidies and raise your health care bill by either double, triple, or quadruple, depending on the size of your family. That fight is going to be back because that CR only lasts till January 30th. And now that Trump knows that he can get away with using starving children and the disadvantaged and the underrepresented as a cudgel to get his way, he's going to do it again. It's time for the Supreme Court also to take up on their own, because legally they can do it. They need to take up the issue of presidential immunity. Because what Donald Trump is doing is breaking the law left and right. He's just bypassing Congress and the courts with with some people, you have to hold that blade of incarceration over their head. He needs that. They need to reapproach that, and they can change their ruling. It's a term called overriding precedent. And what overriding precedent does is they go back, they re-examine the case, and if they find enough constitutional precedent or unworkable or unconstitutional means in their original ruling, they can change it. And there is nothing in the Constitution or the law that makes Donald Trump a unitary authoritarian or a unitarian leader. There's nothing in there that says he is above the law. We are all subject to the law, including him. It's time for the Supreme Court to take little Lord Fauntleroy's golden spoon away from him. My biggest worry is, will that be enough? Will that be enough? Because he's off the chain and off the rails. He's 79 years old. He's obese. He's got congestive heart failure. His bad cholesterol is probably off the charts because he eats like a 10-year-old. And he has pattern dementia just like his father did. Hell has not frozen over yet because we're still in it. And if somebody doesn't do something about this man soon enough, I don't think we can wait till 2026 in the midterms. Next year is a very dangerous year. And while we're waiting for hell to freeze over, Donald Trump and his gang will still be trying to work on gaining power, grifting everything at our expense. I'm M. Carter Pierce, and this has been The Daily Reel. Please comment, like, subscribe to the channel, and share. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this today. I don't want to hear from MAGA, because all you do is prove to us that you're incapable of independent thought by just parroting everything that Trump and the Republican Party say. You don't have your own thoughts. So I don't want to hear from you. And if I do, you're blocked and deleted. End of story. You're not going to recruit us into MAGA. As a matter of fact, how could you recruit us into MAGA when there are many MAGAs that are coming over to us? Thank you very much once again, and I'll see you on the next one.